Mobile Suit Gundam GQUUUUUX, that's right, GQUUUUX not GQUUUUUUX, is the newest anime to come out in the Gundam universe, and there's a fat chance you haven't heard about it because it's coming out on Amazon Prime of all places. So unless you're a pro weeb and have a regular schedule of finding the best way to obtain new shows on your own, you're going to have that terrible app and then sit through the worst ads on the internet, even if you have Prime, because Amazon is growing more evil by the day. Anyway, over the years of making anime content here on Bonsai Pop, I made a concerted effort to get into the wild world of Gundam, and I fell in love with the franchise, so much so that I made a pretty solid video, if I do say so myself, about the best way, in my opinion, to get into the Universal Century if you haven't yet, on top of a giant video on G Gundam and Iron-Blooded Orphans and much more. So naturally, when I saw a new series coming out in 2025, I was very excited, and I knew I was going to do a video on it, so now I'm here doing that. GQUUUUUX is the newest Gundam TV series since The Witch from Mercury dropped in 2023, which is also an outlier, taking place in its own little bubble called Ad Stella. I'll cover it eventually, but QUUUUUUX is also its own unique thing, a very unique thing. You see, Gundam has a main timeline. It's called the Universal Century. Again, I recommend you check out our How to Get Into Gundam video if you're already lost, but the Gundam team doesn't like to fuck with its main timeline. It hasn't done so since 1994 with Mobile Suit Victory Gundam, which took place in UC-0153. Technically, there's also G Savior, which took place in UC-0223, but that's a Japanese live-action movie from 2000, which only the sweatiest fans have watched, and I'm feeling real confident in saying it probably doesn't count. Now, there's been a lot of shows that have taken place within UC years that have already been covered by bigger series like Zeta and Double Zeta Gundam, or at least short-running OVAs and miniseries that don't cause conflict with the established lore, and the ones that do, like Gundam Thunderbolt, are yeeted from the timeline quicker than you could say Minovsky particles. So why am I babbling about this? Well, Gundam GQUUUUUX is the first ever What If Gundam series to make it to syndication. Or streaming, I don't even know if they still consider that syndication. Whatever, they solved their own self-inflicted wounds by making a new show with new characters in the Universal Century between the OG year of 0079 and 85, which spans from episode 1 of 1979's original Mobile Suit Gundam to 2 years before Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. It's a way for them to create new and use classic characters with absolutely no repercussions, except maybe fan outrage, in a time period that's so locked down it might as well be encased in carbonite. So yeah, Gundam GQUUUUUX is weird, it's wild, it is confusing, and I'll let you know if there's spoilers moving forward, but let's pop off on all that. Hey everybody, before we go any further, our friends over at Figurama Collectors are releasing a brand new Dorohedoro statue featuring Shin and Noi. If you've been around here, you know Figurama is the only figure company that we've worked with because they are absolute best, top industry standard. Like all of their releases, this new statue is an absolute work of art. You get swappable portraits for both Shin and Noi, masked or unmasked, plus an insane amount of detail. We're talking ends mushrooms, metal piping all over the base, even Shin's magic user door. It's loaded with Easter eggs that you can find. Pre-orders open May 31st at 10 a.m. Eastern, and only 600 pieces are being made. Figurama drops sell out extremely fast, sometimes within hours, so if you want one, you gotta set an alarm. Join the wishlist and the link in the description and use code BPDSN for $35 off of your pre-order. That is code BPDSN. Use the link in the pinned section or in the description for $35 off your pre-order. Thanks to Figurama Collectors for sponsoring this video and for working with us yet again. Now let's get back to it. So it is officially alternate version of Universal Century 0085, which rolls right off the tongue. Location, Space Colony Side 6, and things are different. Except war. War never changes. But everything besides that is different, including the art style. Now look, I am enjoying the show, but I'm also about 23 years younger than people who were in prime Gundam fandom age in 1979, and I'm also about 20 years older than kids who are now in prime Gundam fandom age. And this series is weird for a lot of reasons, and it's mostly because my favorite word juxtaposition. Here we have a Gundam that is brand new in a lot of ways because it's not just being made by Sunrise, it's also being produced by Studio Khara. Now that name may ring a bell depending on what kind of weeb you are, but if it doesn't, I am sure that Studio Gainax does. Khara is a studio founded by, I don't know, just Hideki Anno, the guy who farted Evangelion out into the world, and the studio has since gone on to finish the Evangelion series as its main project. But that said, there is a ton of Studio Gainax Easter eggs in GQUUUUUX, many of them from FLCL, so naturally, Mobile Suit Gundam GQUUUUUX has a very distinct animation style because of this studio, along with its color palette. Things here are a little more cartoony than you might expect in a series about kids becoming soldiers and murking people left and right, which, for the record, does happen. This anime has teeth. But here, we have these bubbly, exaggerated characters with multicolored eyes and two-toned hair and that weird new anime sheen to them. The effects and backdrops of the show are these hyper-neon throwbacks to the late 2000s Hot Topic craze mixed with a jet-set radio future street art aesthetic. Everyone has a smartphone and there's hacking, and it's very Gen Z coded, which is fine because outside of the neo yuppie mushheads who got brain rot during the pandemic, a lot of Gen Z culture is just appropriating the worst part of millennial aesthetic from when I was growing up. Enjoy those hip huggers while you can, kids. They don't look good for long. Regardless, it's pretty obvious who this series is kind of supposed to be dragging in, at least visually, because there's another edge to this sword that makes Sunrise's decisions really strange. Now, if you don't know Gundam, and I mean like if you're not really familiar with the original Gundam and Gundam Zeta, at least as of right now in the series, I also recommend watching War in the Pocket because there's a lot of throwbacks to that as well, you're going to be really confused. And look, it is 2025. Content has had 20 years of mainline internet exposure to become as streamlined as possible. We're at the point where modern apps utilize vapid 10 to 20 second clips on different topics, one after another, to brainlock people into staring at their phones every second of free time that they have. Here on YouTube, I have to hope these nerds put my shit on to go to sleep, or I'm looking at 30-second retention here, okay? So how does Sunrise expect the audience they're trying to capture to go back and watch literal weeks worth of 40-year-old anime so they can understand the new show? That's insane. Meanwhile, you've risked turning off your classic diehard fans with this neon glow overcoat you've given GQUUUUUX. I mean, I know things are different in Japan, and I am 100% all in for Japan keeping things as Japanese as possible and not completely capitulating to Western audiences and their boring sensibilities, but I'm also aware that the larger goal for almost all Japanese companies is to break out in the West. That is where the real money is. For now, I mean, I gotta admit, China's looking real sexy over there, not gonna lie. But yeah, if you don't know Char Aznavour, if you don't know the 1 Year War, if you don't know the RX-78, if you don't know new types or cyber new types or Lala or Xeon, you are going to be instantly lost here. And that said, Tyler doesn't know shit about the UC, and he said, let me see, quote, "I liked it. It was interesting." A glowing review. So here we have it, a brand new show that looks like it's made for a younger audience, which requires weeks worth of knowledge from 40 years ago in your brain to enjoy it to its fullest potential. It is an odd choice. But if you have that and you can enjoy the art style, you are in luck because this show kind of kicks ass. You see, this isn't a what if Xeon won this battle or that battle and it turned the tide this way or that. It is a very simple matter of a couple of minutes that changed the entire future of the Gundam universe. In the alternate version of Universal Century 0079, Char happened to enter Side 7 just a few moments earlier than he did in the original series. It's just a few moments, and because of that, he found the Gundam RX-78 before Amuro Ray had the chance and stole it. Afterwards, he kills everybody on the bridge of the White Base and commandeers the vessel. I mean, do you know how many slaps disappeared from history without Bright Noah? Ooh. I do gotta say though, I really like how they deliberately went back to the original music and the classic art style for the part that took place in 0079. It was really cool. And let's be honest, this anime is weird, but they really put a lot of heart into it. Anyway, This puts the Federation's Gundam technology squarely in the hands of Zeon, completely and utterly changing the 1-year war, resulting in Zeon's victory. Who lived and who died is up in the air. There's still a lot of things we don't know, but one thing we do know is that the Principality of Zeon altered the RX-78 with new tech designed specifically for new types. After painting the RX-78 Gundam red for Char and renaming it the GMS Alpha Red Gundam, they fit it with the new Alpha Psychomu drive, a device which allows new types to pilot a Gundam with their crazy new type brain mojo. This also may have resulted in some kind of overload, which led to a singularity event called a Zeknova and caused Char to disappear forever with like a third of a planet. Maybe. I don't know, it's Char. I'm sure he's fine. So yeah, Char and the Alpha Red have been missing for 5 years. A semi-undercover unit of Zeon forces are utilizing the Pegasus to look for him, and it's all coming to a head on Side 6 because of this little ginger girl named Amate Yuzuhira. See, it may have been 5 years ago, but the 1-year war caused a lot of upheaval on Earth and in space. People are trying to recover, but Side 6 seems to be a little worse for wear. There's a war refugee crisis going on, but don't worry. No politics in my Gundam anime, am I right? All these people are starving and living in squalor because they just won't pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Not only that, but they're trying to dicker jobs and taxing social service handouts. I mean, how dare they? They got bootstraps, just pull them up. We got to build a wall. All this organizes is causing traffic problems. Can't get my 6-door diesel truck down the street in my metropolitan area. Anyway, speaking of refugees, little Yuzuhira crosses paths with a refugee courier named Nyan and finds herself in a very awkward situation. See, the Red Gundam is randomly back and being pursued by the space police. Can't wait for that future. A pilot named Xavier Oliviet is set out in the brand new mobile suit Gundam GMS Omega GQUUUUUX that 6 used, don't forget it, in order to capture the Alpha Red. But oddly enough, the GQUUUUUX has the paint job of the original RX-78. So once again, you have a version of the Red Comet and a classic Gundam out in space together. It's pretty cool. Now, instead of capturing Alpha Red though, Xavier crashes into Side 6 right in front of little Yuzuhira, and she gets in the robot, and we find out she's a new type, and that the drive Nyan was carrying for the underground junkers and illegal mech battlers was a Psychomu drive unlock. It's a whole thing. And then naturally she kicks ass against the space police who, no politic here, literally give her the resistance is futile line. I mean, that shit is gold, but one question remains, right? Who is in the Red Gundam? And also, why does the Gundam look like this? I'd say this is my one nitpick about GQUUUUUX. The mobile suits are CGI, and look, I get it. That's just kind of the way things are now. They use it to contrast normal life with mech battles and war, except they don't. In the flashbacks where Char commandeers the RX-78, the Gundam are in 2D and they look awesome, like really awesome, even with the redesigns I'm not too fond of. Like these reimagined Gundam are a lot leaner. Again, it's like a nitpick, but I like a little bit more armor on my Gundam. The other thing I'm not a fan of is their compound eyes. I know you're going for something new here, and this is a what if scenario, and maybe it matches your idea for the new designs, except it doesn't, because in the Char flashbacks, the RX-78 has normal Gundam eyes, which looks sick. So I think they're just doing this because they think it's cool. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that, but otherwise, there's really nothing wrong with this series other than the barrier to entry, which I've luckily bypassed through a lot of time I'm never going to get back. But I should quickly go over these junkers though, right? There's another thing that's a little special about Side 6. Like I kind of alluded to before, this colony is dealing with political and governmental struggles while being a police state. Money is incredibly hard to come by, and the vast majority of its citizens are extremely poor and live in slums. And when these kinds of conditions are put upon people just trying to survive, they'll come up with alternative means to their ends. On Side 6, this comes in the form of smuggling and clan bat, groups of junkers and mechanics putting together mobile suits to illegally battle to the death outside of the colony. Winners come away with cash, people bet on the matches. It's its own little economy and is also highly dangerous, especially considering the harsh punishment for criminal activity on Side 6. Resistance is futile. Now, Yuzuhira is a pretty average girl, but she's unhappy and bored with her life on Side 6, so when she finds herself mixed up in clan bat, she sinks into it rather than running away from it. And all of that is basically episode 1 stuff. So I still have more to say, but if you want to go in fresh, I recommend stopping here and going and doing that. Alright, to comment once again on the barrier to entry for this anime, I talked a little bit more to Tyler about it, and he thought that the Kita, the wild new type space lava lamp thing, was a drug metaphor, and I can see why, but that goes to show you how lacking the prerequisite lore can kind of set people off the mark. The Kita, which just means sparkling, I don't know why they kept that in the English dub, is just the weird mental connection that new types get in space. It harkens back to the final battle in the original Gundam, where the ghost of Lala is like floating in space and stuff, you remember. In GQUUUUUX, it's even accompanied by the Lala sound. There's no way that has any greater implications, but GQUUUUUX more than any other Gundam is like, new types galore, you get a new type, you get a new type. Everyone is a new type. The fact that 3 main characters are all new types, and they're being chased by a new type or 2, and then they meet another new type in like episode 4, and then cyber new types from Zeta pop in with basically no explanation. That shit is crazy. Though I will say, I love that they brought back the Psycho Gundam. That is so cool. And they even named the pilot Do Marusame, which, you know, obviously means 2. The original pilot was 4 Murasame in Zeta. Did anyone else catch that? That's awesome. But see, I don't know. I feel like that's an issue. I mean, all Gundam is obtuse, right? There's no way around that. They take a lot of time to tell their stories and set up the not politics, don't worry, and expand upon everything. But if even these new characters don't understand what a new type is, how is the new audience supposed to get it? Instead, they're gonna look at Shuji, the guy who mysteriously has the Alpha Red, and think he's a weirdo burnout because his mind is literally out in space connected to some psychic slipstream. It's way more rational to think of Kita as some wacky trip instead of the collective psychic energy of the cosmos enveloping evolved humans within its network and giving them foresight and hyper reaction powers. Now add on to that these new Gundam have the Saikamu drives, which clearly allow new types to link with them on a deeper level than has been explained so far, and you have a very alienating show for the uninitiated. But it's also a very engrossing show for nerds like me. But then what do you expect from the people who created Gundam in the first place, teaming up with the mind that brought you Evangelion and FLCL? This was a multi-level nightmare in the making, but I am personally all here for it. However, it's been stated that this is only going to be a single season with 12 episodes. I'm not sure why, because I legitimately feel like they have something cooking here, and judging by where we're at right now with episode 7, I don't know how they're going to wrap it up with just 5 episodes left to go. But regardless, we're only halfway there. I'm excited to see where it ends, and if this video does well, I would love to talk about the show in its entirety when it finishes. So what have you guys thought so far? I'm genuinely interested, and if you haven't checked it out yet, are you planning to hop on it? Let me know down below and sub for more Gundam content. We're going to have plenty of that this year. And thanks again to Figurama for working with us. We love those guys. Don't forget those pre-orders. Join the Patreon. My name is Mike. This is Bonsai Pop, and I will see you guys really soon.